You are absolutely positively not going to believe this story, but I need you to trust me. Every ridiculous, jaw-dropping detail is true. It started as so many American tragedies do, with a guy in crisp khaki cargo shorts who honestly believed his personal crusade against garden gnomes gave him the right to break into our ranch. And let me tell you, that single, deeply bureaucratic lapse in judgment set off the wildest chain of events this neighborhood has ever seen. See, this wasn't just any guy. This was Franklin Vance, the HOA's self-appointed enforcer. He actually scaled our 6-foot fence, hit the ground with a thud right by the compost heap, and before he could even brush the mud off his shorts, he found himself face to face with Brutus, our 2,000-pound black Angus bull. Franklin didn't stand a chance. He just vanished straight into the redwood grove like he'd been swallowed up by the earth itself. I hadn't even had my first cup of coffee, and already I was explaining this circus to the 911 dispatcher standing there shivering in fuzzy bunny socks, wielding a skillet still slick from scrambled eggs, trying to convince her this was not a prank call. She asked, "Are you saying your bull chased a man into the woods?" And I said, "Man, Brutus takes trespassing as a personal insult. He's a creature of deep conviction." I'm pretty sure she thought I was drunk or sleepwalking. I hung up before she could call in the loony bin. That's when I took 3 steps and found the first clue, Franklin's expensive loafer, half buried in mud near the weeping willows. And just like that, my quiet life on Willow Creek Lane got sucked straight into a vortex of bizarre, high-stakes suburban crime. Our place always sat on that weird edge between wild country and obsessive suburbia. We've got acreage and animals, always a little untidy, but right up against Crestwood Heights, the pristine kingdom of manicured lawns and synchronized sprinklers. Over there, the grass is neon green, the sidewalks are spotless, and our neighbor across the fence was already out at 6 a.m., blowing imaginary dust off his driveway. But Franklin was something else entirely. He was the sort of guy who carried his clipboard like it was the Constitution, handed out fines like Halloween candy, and wore those ridiculous wraparound sunglasses even at night. He called himself the community standards advocate, but really he just lived to penalize imperfection. 2 weeks before, he fined us $250 because the shadow from our barn vent crossed the property line by less than an inch at solar noon, mind you. If there was a petty rule, Franklin would die on that hill. Our kitchen security camera caught the whole fiasco, 6:07 a.m. Franklin crouched by the fence, eyes darting like a raccoon about to rob a bank. Then over the fence he went, landed with a thud right in Brutus's favorite mud patch. I about screamed. I bolted outside yelling about trespassing, but by then Franklin was a blur sprinting across the lawn, thinking, I guess, that his non-slip loafers would outrun 2,000 pounds of angry steak. Brutus looked up, let out a bellow you felt in your spine, and the chase was on like something out of a slapstick western. Franklin leapt over the koi pond, slipped on a wind chime, tore through the lavender, and with one final shriek, he dove into the redwoods and just disappeared. No broken branches, no struggle, just gone like a cartoon character sucked into a portal. My husband, Leo, came jogging around the corner, wrench in hand from fixing the fence, and just blinked at the chaos. Did Brutus just eat the HOA, he asked. I pointed at Franklin's clipboard, now impaled on a rosemary bush, and the single loafer lying forlornly by the fountain. Brutus wandered back, chewing on the clipboard strap like it was a cigar. I called the police again, tried to keep my voice steady, mentioned that a man might be injured or, gone. They said they'd send someone. They didn't. That's when I felt it, the cold chill that told me something was off. This neighborhood is where tire marks on the curb brought an angry email, but the disappearance of the HOA's top cop brought total silence. Not a siren, not a whisper, just a calculated hush like everyone agreed to keep their mouths shut. Leo went into cyber sleuth mode. We found the other loafer, a muddy, slightly crushed sock still inside, and a walkie-talkie. Not a kid's toy either. This thing was heavy with encrypted channels. Leo fiddled with it and finally through the static caught one chilling phrase, perimeter clear. File Del 9 acquisition on target. Leo just stared at me. That's not a civilian channel. That's tactical encryption. way above Franklin's pay grade. We checked our cameras again. The whole chase clear as day, but the moment Franklin hit the tree line, the feed went dead. 10 full minutes of static. Someone killed the cameras, Leo muttered. And not just anyone, someone inside our own network. That's when it really hit us. We'd just been hacked by our own neighbors. Over a bull chase. I decided enough was enough. I was going straight to the source, Prudence Thorne, the HOA president herself. Her house was like a temple to perfection. Hedges pruned with a protractor driveway, shining like a showroom floor. She opened the door in a cashmere robe, smiled with all the warmth of a winter moon. Prudence. I said, skipping the fake pleasantries. Franklin trespassed on our land, was chased by our livestock, and has now been missing for 36 hours. The police won't even take a report. What is going on? She adjusted her silk scarf like a queen adjusting her crown. Dear, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Franklin's just on a little stress leave. I told her he'd been chased into the woods by a bull. She gave me that look only true narcissists can manage, half pity, half contempt. He was deeply committed to community standards, she said. Sometimes passion can be exhausting. I simply suggested he take some time for reflection. And with that, she closed the door as silently and finally as a vault. But the smell of something rotten just got worse. Mrs. Adeline Higgins, the unofficial neighborhood oracle, 98 years old, hears nothing but sees everything. Told me Franklin had been whispering about secret board meetings and files hidden in the shed just 2 days before. He said Prudence was hiding something. She rasped her voice like sandpaper. USBs, secret reports. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. Then, just as I was piecing this together, Brutus, bless him, dug up a soggy HOA newsletter from the compost heap, wrapped around a ripped note. They know about the buyouts. Prudence is scrubbing the digital files. North Sector scans tomorrow. Move fast. Dated 3 days ago. Leo and I started connecting dots with the neighbors. Angela Monroe, the heirloom squash queen, finally admitted he was building a list. Prudence uses fines to force people to default, then buys their houses with a shell company, flips them profits. It's never about the grass, it's about power. That night, I saw Prudence herself, trench coat and gloves, sneaking into Angela's yard with a fat manila folder. By morning, the folder was gone, but the seed of suspicion had been planted deep. Leo cross-checked every recent foreclosure sale in Crestwood Heights. Every property had ended up with an out-of-state shell company, Clearview Properties, and Prudence's name was on every compliance waiver, both as HOA president and as witness. We had to get proof. The next day, as the HOA did a random yard audit, Leo and I slipped through Prudence's back gate. In her immaculate garage, smelling of lemon cleaner and cold ambition, Leo found a locked filing cabinet and cracked it in under a minute. What we found: blueprints for a hostile neighborhood, takeover, dozens of USB sticks, files, maps, marked up with colors, green for compliant yellow, for vulnerable red around our house with problem asset high resistance, a core document labeled Phase 4 Compliance Timeline, listed dates, names, photos, snapped through windows, even credit histories, illegal surveillance top to bottom. In a folder, Reprimand and Containment, F. Vance. It detailed threats for trying to report internal fraud to the county. At the bottom, a handwritten note: escalation unnecessary if individual remains quiet. If not, initiate relocation. That's HOA code for make him disappear. We took copies of everything and slipped out. But Prudence wasn't done. That night, a drone hovered over our yard, then another, both retreating to her house. She knows we were there, I whispered. Next morning, we threw a Brutus BBQ and told the whole neighborhood. Every neighbor had a story escalating: fines, threats, shady paperwork. Collective anger now, that's a powerful thing. That night, the phone rang, a blocked number. A raspy voice. This is Franklin. They're watching the power lines. Don't trust anyone on the board. I have proof. I need help. He was alive. Detective Reese Morgan showed up next day. She listened to our tactical audio, her jaw set tight. That's private security tech, she said. You're looking at a real surveillance operation. Then Brutus, ever the hero, dug up Franklin's mud-caked cell phone from the compost. One file left a shaky video of Franklin laying out the whole shell game, fake fines, forced foreclosures threats. If I disappear, it wasn't an accident, he said. They have voice recordings. Don't trust their emails. We set a trap. Put a decoy laptop with fake whistleblower emails in our garage, left the side window open. At 2:11 a.m., the motion sensor tripped a shadowy figure, slipped inside, plugged in a flash drive. Leo flipped the breaker lights up. Brutus bellowed. I charged out with a frying pan, but the guy Malcolm Cross, HOA treasurer, bolted, vaulting the fence like an Olympic sprinter. Leo's camera caught him full face, full felony. 2 days later, 3 unmarked cars rolled down Willow Creek Lane. Prudence was arrested at her door, all her brittle confidence shattering. Malcolm tried to run, tossed a USB into a bird feeder, but was tackled before he could blink. Detective Morgan later told us Prudence ran a racketeering ring, using the HOA to force out vulnerable owners, retirees, families, anyone she could break. Franklin had hidden in a cabin after seeing a folder labeled Violation 999 Final with his sister's house on it. He ran to save his family, hoping someone would find his phone. Franklin gave us a storage key inside more files, risk scores, lists of problem assets. We were all just numbers. Detective Morgan didn't even blink. News broke. Suburban surveillance scandal, local channels had a field day. Brutus got his own viral hashtag, Bull of Justice. Prudence got 15 years, no parole. Asked why she did it, she just said, because people don't know what's best for them. Still convinced she was right. The HOA was dissolved. Angela ran for council, won by a landslide, wiped all violations. Brutus became our honorary mascot. Franklin moved into a cottage nearby. We never rebuilt the perimeter fence. Brutus still wanders, but now when he knocks over a recycling bin, folks just laugh. I sit on the porch with Leo watching sunsets over imperfect lawns and think, we fought a suburban war with a bull, a camera, and way too much stress baking. But you know what? We earned this mess. We made it honest. Now here's where I need you. Were we right to fight fire with fire? Should Franklin have risked everything sooner, or did he do what he had to? And what's the wildest HOA story you've ever lived through? Drop your thoughts and stories in the comments. And hey, smash that like if you think Brutus deserves a steak dinner. Subscribe for more suburban insanity, because around here you never know what's coming next. Stay safe out there.